Escape the debt trap, the complete 2026 formula to become debt-free. Debt can begin with $500 or $500,000. It can arrive through credit cards, medical treatment, student loans, taxes, a vehicle, a mortgage, a failed business, a divorce, unemployment, or one emergency that happened at the worst possible time. The number changes, the pressure changes, but the basic path out remains the same. First, stop the debt from expanding. Second, protect the necessities that keep your life functioning. Third, calculate exactly how much money can attack the debt. Fourth, reduce the cost of the debt wherever legally possible. Fifth, direct every available dollar through a deliberate payoff system. And when ordinary repayment is mathematically impossible, use legitimate hardship, counseling, settlement, or bankruptcy options instead of pretending a budget alone can solve an insolvency problem. This documentary presents a complete debt elimination system based on mathematics, consumer protection rules, and current United States programs as of July 2026. Laws and protections can vary by state, and individual contracts differ, so anyone facing foreclosure, repossession, a lawsuit, garnishment, or bankruptcy should obtain advice for their specific situation. Debt is not simply a number. It is a claim against future income. When someone carries a $10,000 balance, the lender does not merely own a piece of the borrower's past. The lender has a contractual right to part of the borrower's future paychecks. Interest is the price of renting money. The longer the principal remains unpaid, the longer that rent continues. At high interest rates, a borrower can make payments every month and still watch the balance barely move. Imagine a $10,000 credit card balance carrying a 29% annual percentage rate. A rough estimate of the first month's interest is $10,000 multiplied by 29% divided by 12. That equals approximately $241.67. If the payment is only $250, approximately $8.33 reaches principal during that first month under this simplified calculation. Almost the entire payment buys time instead of freedom. That reveals the first mathematical law of debt elimination. A payment must exceed the interest and fees being added, or the debt will not meaningfully shrink. The universal debt formula begins with 4 numbers. The first number is reliable monthly take-home income. This is the money that actually reaches the household after taxes, insurance, retirement deductions, and other payroll deductions. The second number is essential monthly spending. This includes reasonable food, housing, utilities, medicine, necessary insurance, basic transportation, childcare required for work, and other expenses necessary to preserve health, employment, and shelter. The third number is the total of all required minimum debt payments. The fourth number is the monthly amount reserved for unavoidable, irregular expenses. Annual insurance premiums, vehicle registration, school expenses, repairs, and other predictable costs must be divided by 12 and treated as monthly expenses. An expense is not an emergency merely because it does not occur every month. The debt attack formula is this. Monthly debt attack money equals reliable take-home income, plus reliable additional income, minus essential expenses, minus required minimum payments, minus monthly reserves for unavoidable irregular expenses. Call the result the attack amount. If the attack amount is positive, the borrower has money that can be directed toward principal every month. If the attack amount equals 0, the borrower may be maintaining the debt but is not creating a path out. If the attack amount is negative, choosing between the snowball and avalanche methods will not solve the problem. There is no extra money to snowball or avalanche. The immediate mission must be increasing income, reducing expenses, obtaining hardship terms, restructuring payments, selling unaffordable assets, or evaluating formal debt relief. This distinction prevents one of the most common mistakes in personal finance. People are frequently given a payoff strategy when what they actually need is financial triage. Before sending extra money to any creditor, protect the foundation of the household. Food, essential medicine, safe housing, utilities, necessary transportation, and insurance usually come before extra payments on unsecured credit cards. Court-ordered child support, certain taxes, and secured debts can carry consequences that ordinary credit card debt does not. A credit card company can report a late payment, close an account, send a balance to collections, or sue. A mortgage servicer may eventually foreclose. An auto lender may repossess the vehicle that gets someone to work. Unpaid utilities can be disconnected. Unpaid child support can produce serious legal consequences. This does not mean ignoring credit cards. It means understanding that bills have different levels of urgency. The loudest caller is not automatically the highest priority creditor. The next step is to build a complete debt inventory. List every creditor, current balance, interest rate, minimum payment, due date, account status, collateral, promotional rate expiration date, and whether another person co-signed the debt. Include credit cards, personal loans, payday loans, buy now pay later accounts, vehicle loans, mortgages, medical bills, student loans, tax debts, judgments, collection accounts, family loans, and business debts for which the individual is personally responsible. Do not rely entirely on memory or a credit monitoring application. Obtain all 3 credit reports through annualcreditreport.com, the website authorized by federal law. Free online reports are currently available weekly. Compare the reports because an account may appear on one report but not another. Credit reports are not complete debt ledgers. Federal tax debts, family loans, recent medical bills, some utilities, and certain other obligations may not appear. Add those manually. Every listed debt should then be placed into one of 4 conditions. Current means the required payment is being made on time. Delinquent means a payment has been missed, but the account remains with the original creditor. Charged off or in collections means the original creditor has treated the account as a loss or transferred collection activity, although the legal obligation may still exist. In litigation or judgment means the creditor has sued or already obtained a court judgment. These debts require immediate attention because ignoring a summons can result in a default judgment without the borrower ever presenting a defense. Next, identify whether each obligation is secured or unsecured. A secured debt is attached to collateral. Mortgages are secured by homes. Auto loans are secured by vehicles. Failure to pay can result in loss of the property, and losing the property may not eliminate the remaining balance. If a repossessed vehicle is sold for less than the loan balance and permitted fees, the borrower may still owe the deficiency. Someone who owes $20,000 on a vehicle that sells after repossession for $14,000 could remain responsible for roughly $6,000 plus permitted expenses. Unsecured debts generally have no specific collateral. Credit cards, most medical bills, and many personal loans fall into this category. A creditor may still sue and use a judgment to pursue permitted collection remedies, but it cannot ordinarily repossess a specific asset simply because that unsecured account was not paid. After the inventory is complete, stop creating new balances. A payoff plan cannot succeed while the same cards are financing groceries, subscriptions, and emergencies every month. Remove safe credit cards from shopping applications. Turn off one-click purchasing. Pause non-essential subscriptions. Stop cash advances. Stop payday loan rollovers. Stop using buy now pay later plans as an extension of income. Freezing new borrowing does not require immediately closing every account. Closing an account can affect available credit and may change credit utilization. But keeping an account open is useful only if it does not become a doorway back into debt. A card can be locked through the issuer, placed somewhere inaccessible, or used only for a small plan charge that is paid in full. The next question is how much emergency cash to keep while paying debt. There is no single emergency fund number that fits every household. A person with stable employment, excellent insurance, 2 working vehicles, and family support faces different risks from a self-employed parent with a regular income and 1 aging vehicle. The correct starter reserve should protect against the most probable expense that would otherwise force immediate new borrowing. It might equal an insurance deductible, a critical vehicle repair, several weeks of essential expenses, or another realistic interruption. Keeping $20,000 in low-interest savings while paying 29% credit card interest may be extremely expensive, but sending every dollar to creditors and leaving no cash for medicine, food, or transportation can cause the next emergency to return directly to the credit card. The reserve is not supposed to make the household comfortable. It is supposed to prevent one predictable setback from destroying the plan. Once minimum payments, essentials, and the starter reserve are protected, select the repayment method. The debt avalanche method sends every extra dollar to the debt with the highest effective interest rate while minimums continue on the others. When the first debt is eliminated, its former payment and the extra attack amount move to the next highest rate debt. The avalanche is mathematically strongest when interest rates remain fixed, fees are comparable, and all payments are made as planned. It attacks the most expensive money first and normally produces the lowest total interest cost. The debt snowball method attacks the smallest balance first, regardless of interest rate. When that balance reaches zero, its payment moves to the next smallest debt. The snowball may cost more when a large high-interest balance waits behind smaller low-interest debts. Its advantage is behavioral. Fast victories can create momentum, reduce the number of monthly bills, and help some people remain committed. A hybrid method can combine both. Eliminate one or two very small balances that can disappear quickly, then switch to the highest interest debt. The method someone consistently follows is better than the theoretically perfect method they abandon. But the mathematical truth remains unchanged. When all other factors are equal, paying the highest interest rate first saves the most money. There are exceptions to pure interest rate ordering. A debt secured by a vehicle required for employment may deserve priority because losing the vehicle could destroy income. A small delinquent utility balance may need immediate payment to prevent disconnection. A debt involved in an active lawsuit may require legal action before a larger credit card balance. A 0% promotional balance may be temporarily inexpensive, but it must be scheduled for payoff before the promotional period expires. A federal student loan that may qualify for public service loan forgiveness should not automatically receive aggressive extra payments. Paying more than required can waste money if the remaining eligible balance will eventually be forgiven. This is why debt strategy must consider interest, legal risk, collateral, and forgiveness eligibility, not merely the balance. For a fixed-rate loan, the approximate required monthly payment can be calculated using the standard amortization formula. The payment equals principal multiplied by the monthly interest rate, multiplied by 1 plus the monthly rate raised to the number of payments, divided by 1 plus the monthly rate raised to the number of payments minus 1. For payoff time, the formula can be rearranged. The number of months equals -1 multiplied by the natural logarithm of 1 minus the monthly interest rate multiplied by principal divided by the payment, divided by the natural logarithm of 1 plus the monthly interest rate. This works only when the payment is greater than the interest being generated. It also assumes a fixed rate, fixed payments, monthly compounding, no additional fees, and no new purchases. Credit card issuers often use average daily balances and daily periodic rates, so the actual statement calculation may differ. Consider $12,000 at a 24% annual rate with no additional charges. At $300 per month, payoff takes approximately 82 months and produces roughly $12,383 in interest under monthly compounding assumptions. The interest can nearly equal the original balance. At $500 per month, the same balance takes approximately 34 months and produces about $4,511 in interest. At $700 per month, payoff takes approximately 22 months and produces about $2,842 in interest. The rate did not change. The principal did not change. Only the payment changed. That difference redirected thousands of dollars away from interest. When credit card interest accrues daily, paying earlier can help. A person paid twice monthly may send part of the planned payment after each paycheck instead of holding the entire amount until the due date. The minimum must still arrive by the due date, and the account's payment allocation rules must be understood. Every extra payment should be confirmed as reducing principal rather than merely advancing the next due date, particularly on installment and student loans. The attack amount should not sit in a checking account waiting to be accidentally spent. Schedule it automatically after income arrives. Minimum payments can also be automated when cash flow is stable enough to avoid overdrafts. Reducing the interest rate can be as powerful as increasing the payment. Call the original creditor before missing payments whenever possible. Use direct language. I am experiencing financial hardship. I want to repay this account, but the current interest rate or payment is not sustainable. Please review every hardship program available, including a lower interest rate, waived fees, a fixed payment plan, or a temporary reduced payment. Ask how the program affects the credit report, whether the card will be closed, how long the reduced rate lasts, and what happens after the program ends. Record the date, representative's name, and confirmation number. Request the final terms in writing. Do not exaggerate or invent hardship. Present accurate income and expenses. If the first representative cannot help, politely ask for the hardship or account assistance department. A reduced payment is not automatically a good deal. A creditor may lower the monthly requirement by extending the payoff period. Compare total cost, not merely the new monthly payment. The formula for comparing any refinance or consolidation is straightforward. Remaining cost of the old debts equals all remaining interest and fees under the current payoff schedule. Total cost of the new loan equals all interest over the new term, plus origination fees, transfer fees, closing costs, and any prepayment penalties on the old debt. Refinancing creates real savings only when the new total cost is lower, the new payment is sustainable, and the borrower does not rebuild balances on the accounts that were paid off. Calculate the weighted average interest rate before consolidating. Multiply each balance by its interest rate. Add those results. Divide the total by the combined debt balance. Suppose there are three balances: $5,000 at 30%, $7,000 at 20%, and $8,000 at 10%. 5,000 multiplied by 30% equals 1,500. 7,000 multiplied by 20% equals 1,400. 8,000 multiplied by 10% equals 800. The total is 3,700. Divide 3,700 by the $20,000 combined balance. The weighted average rate is 18.5%. A consolidation loan at 14% may appear cheaper, but origination fees and the new term must be included. Stretching the balance from 3 remaining years to 7 years can create a lower payment while increasing total interest. A lower payment is a cash flow benefit. A lower total cost is a wealth benefit. They are not always the same. A 0% balance transfer can work when used with discipline. The transfer fee equals the balance transferred multiplied by the fee percentage. A $5,000 transfer with a 3% fee immediately creates a $150 cost. The new balance becomes $5,150. If the promotional period is 15 months, the payment needed to clear the balance before expiration is approximately $343.33 per month. The transfer works only if the fee and any remaining interest cost less than staying with the original account. The borrower can finish within the promotional period, and new purchases do not recreate the old debt. Missing a payment may also jeopardize promotional terms. Using home equity to pay credit cards can reduce the interest rate, but it converts unsecured debt into debt secured by the home. A failed credit card repayment threatens credit. A failed home equity repayment can threaten housing. That additional risk must be treated as part of the cost. Borrowing from a retirement plan can create similar hidden risks. Leaving the employer may accelerate repayment requirements. Missed repayment can produce taxes and penalties, and money removed from the market loses potential growth. Retirement funds may also receive protections from creditors that ordinary savings do not. Never use retirement money for unsecured debt without understanding the tax, employment, and legal consequences. When self-directed repayment is not enough, nonprofit credit counseling may provide another route. A legitimate counselor reviews income, expenses, debts, and goals before recommending a program. A debt management plan is not a new loan. The borrower normally makes one monthly payment to the counseling organization, which distributes payments to participating creditors. Creditors may reduce interest rates or waive certain fees. Debt management plans are generally designed for unsecured debts, not mortgages or vehicle loans. They may require participating credit cards to be closed, regular on-time payments, and no new credit. Federal consumer guidance warns that successful plans may take 48 months or longer. Before enrolling, verify every fee, confirm that each creditor accepts the proposed terms, ask how missed payments are handled, and obtain the agreement in writing. A plan that reduces a 30% credit card rate to a manageable fixed rate can create substantial savings. A plan with high fees and creditors that refuse to participate may not. Debt settlement is different. Settlement asks a creditor to accept less than the full balance as final payment. It is usually considered when an account is seriously delinquent and full repayment is unrealistic. Settlement can reduce principal, but it carries major risks. Interest and late fees may continue while money is being accumulated. Creditors can continue collection activity and may sue. Credit reports can be damaged. A settlement company may charge significant fees. Forgiven debt can produce taxable income unless an exception or exclusion applies. The Federal Trade Commission warns that companies cannot legally charge certain debt relief fees before they settle a debt or place a consumer into a debt management plan. Guaranteed settlement, secret government programs, instant credit repair, and demands for large upfront payments are major warning signs. Someone considering direct settlement should first verify the debt, confirm who has authority to settle it, and determine whether the debt is within the statute of limitations. Never send settlement money based only on a telephone promise. Obtain a written agreement identifying the account, the settlement amount, the payment deadline, and that the accepted payment will satisfy the agreed obligation. Keep the agreement and proof of payment permanently. Never give a collector unrestricted electronic access to a primary bank account. Use a controlled payment method after the written terms have been verified. Debt cancellation can create a tax bill. Under federal rules, canceled debt is generally treated as ordinary income unless an exception or exclusion applies. Bankruptcy and insolvency are two important exclusions. Insolvency generally means total liabilities exceeded the fair market value of total assets immediately before cancellation. A person who settles $10,000 for $4,000 may have $6,000 of canceled debt. The creditor may issue Form 1099-C. That does not automatically mean the entire amount is taxable, but it does mean the tax consequences must be examined. IRS Form 982 and Publication 4681 explain applicable exclusions. The broad special exclusion for qualified principal residence debt expired for discharges completed after December 31, 2025, unless later law changes it. Foreclosure and repossession can also create complicated gain, loss, and cancellation of debt calculations. When a debt collector makes contact, do not immediately admit the debt or make a small payment simply to stop the calls. Request validation information. Federal rules generally require information identifying the creditor, the current amount, an itemization of interest and fees, and instructions for disputing the debt. A consumer generally has 30 days after receiving or being assumed to receive the validation notice to dispute the debt in writing. A timely written dispute generally requires the collector to pause collection of the disputed amount until verification is provided. Do not dispute accurate debt merely to delay payment. False disputes and false identity theft reports are not legitimate credit repair strategies. Old debt requires special caution because statutes of limitations vary by state, contract, debt type, and sometimes the borrower's location. In some states, a partial payment or acknowledgement can restart the period for filing a lawsuit, even after the previous period expired. A collector may sometimes continue asking for voluntary payment after the limitations period expires, but it cannot lawfully sue or threaten to sue on time-barred debt. The statute of limitations may also be an affirmative defense, meaning a person sued on old debt must appear and raise the defense. Ignoring the lawsuit can still result in a default judgment. Never ignore summons. Confirm the response deadline, preserve every record, and contact a consumer law attorney or legal aid organization immediately. Under federal rules, debt collectors are generally presumed to violate call frequency limits if they call more than 7 times within 7 consecutive days about a particular debt, or call within 7 days after having a telephone conversation about that debt. They generally cannot contact consumers before 8 in the morning or after 9 at night without permission, use threats, lie, or publicly disclose the debt. A written request can limit or stop many collection communications, but stopping calls does not erase the debt or prevent a lawful lawsuit. Sometimes continued written communication is useful for obtaining documents or negotiating terms. Most ordinary consumer creditors generally need a judgment before garnishing wages. Federal law normally limits garnishment for ordinary debts to the lesser of 25% of disposable earnings or the amount by which disposable earnings exceed 30 times the federal minimum wage. Child support, federal taxes, and certain student debts follow different rules, and state law may provide stronger protection. Medical debt deserves its own process because medical bills frequently contain insurance, coding, coverage, and financial assistance issues. Request an itemized bill. Compare it with every explanation of benefits from the insurance company. Confirm that insurance was billed correctly, contractual adjustments were applied, and duplicate or unfamiliar charges are investigated. Ask the provider about financial assistance, charity care, income-based discounts, prompt pay discounts, and interest-free payment plans. Nonprofit hospitals are required to maintain written financial assistance policies, although eligibility varies. If the charge involves emergency services or certain out-of-network care, investigate protections under the No Surprises Act. Dispute bills that exceed legally permitted patient responsibility. Medical debt rules changed repeatedly before 2026. The CFPB's broad federal rule that would have removed medical debt from credit reports was vacated by a federal court in July 2025. As of 2026, unpaid medical debt that is more than 1 year old and over $500 can still appear on credit reports. However, the 3 nationwide credit reporting companies previously adopted policies removing paid medical collections, collections under $500, and collections less than 1 year old. Review all 3 reports and dispute any medical collection that violates applicable reporting rules or contains inaccurate information. Student loan strategy must begin by separating federal loans from private loans. Federal loans can carry repayment protections and forgiveness options that private refinancing permanently removes. Before refinancing a federal loan into a private loan, calculate the value of income-based payments, deferment, discharge protections, and potential forgiveness that would be surrendered. Federal repayment changed significantly in 2026. Federal loan servicers report that the SAVE plan ended by court order in March 2026. Beginning July 1, 2026, the new Repayment Assistance Plan and Tiered Standard Plan became available. Borrowers with loans first disbursed or consolidated on or after that date face different plan rules from borrowers whose loans were entirely issued earlier. Because eligibility depends on loan type and disbursement history, borrowers should use the official repayment calculator at studentaid.gov rather than relying on an old social media chart. The Repayment Assistance Plan bases payments on adjusted gross income, subject to program rules, and can extend repayment for decades. A smaller monthly payment can protect cash flow, but a longer term may increase total interest unless forgiveness or interest benefits change the result. The Tiered Standard Plan uses fixed payments, with the maximum term depending on total principal. A fixed plan may produce a faster payoff and less total interest than a long income-based plan, but the required payment may be higher. Borrowers pursuing public service loan forgiveness should verify that their employer, loan type, repayment plan, and payments qualify. The objective in a legitimate forgiveness strategy is not necessarily rapid principal reduction. It is making the required qualifying payments while preserving documentation until forgiveness is completed. Private student loan borrowers should contact the lender directly about hardship reductions, interest-only periods, term extensions, or refinancing. A temporary lower payment can prevent default, but every extension should be evaluated for total interest. Tax debt also follows its own rules. File required tax returns even when full payment is impossible. Failure to file penalties can be more damaging than arranging payment after filing. As of July 2026, the IRS allows qualifying individuals who owe less than $100,000 in combined tax, penalties, and interest to request a short-term plan of up to 180 days. Individuals owing $50,000 or less may generally apply online for a long-term installment agreement, subject to eligibility and current filing requirements. Interest and penalties normally continue during payment plans. The plan manages collection. It does not freeze the balance. An offer in compromise can settle eligible tax debt for less than the full amount when the IRS determines that full collection is doubtful, would create hardship, or another legally recognized basis exists. The IRS evaluates income, allowable expenses, assets, equity, and ability to pay. It is not automatic forgiveness. If paying taxes would prevent reasonable basic living expenses, the IRS may place an account into currently not collectible status. Collection is temporarily delayed, but interest and penalties continue. tax refunds may be applied, and a federal tax lien may still be filed. Ignore advertisements claiming that every taxpayer qualifies for a secret IRS forgiveness program. Begin with irs.gov, a qualified enrolled agent, certified public accountant, tax attorney, or a low-income taxpayer clinic. Mortgage debt requires action before the situation becomes a foreclosure emergency. Call the mortgage servicer as soon as trouble becomes visible. Ask for the loss mitigation department and request every available option, including repayment plans, forbearance, modification, deferral, or other assistance appropriate to the loan. Many mortgage servicers must attempt contact within 36 days of delinquency and send written information about possible loss mitigation options by 45 days, subject to applicable rules. Borrowers should still act immediately instead of waiting for those deadlines. HUD-approved housing counselors offer free or low-cost assistance. They can help organize finances, review options, and communicate with the servicer. Anyone demanding a large advance fee or guaranteeing foreclosure prevention is displaying major scam warning signs. If the home is permanently unaffordable, a controlled sale may preserve more equity than waiting for foreclosure. The emotional desire to keep an asset must be compared with the mathematical cost of keeping it. The same principle applies to an unaffordable vehicle. Contact the lender before repossession and ask about due date changes, deferment, extensions, refinancing, or a voluntary sale. A voluntary surrender is not debt forgiveness. After the lender sells the vehicle, the borrower may still owe the deficiency plus permitted costs. Selling the vehicle personally before repossession may produce a better price, but negative equity must still be resolved. Payday and title loans require emergency attention because repeated fees can create extremely high effective annual costs. Ask about an extended payment plan if state law or the lender provides one. Do not refinance one payday loan into another merely to move the due date. A title loan is secured by the vehicle. Treat the possibility of losing transportation as part of the cost. Buy now, pay later accounts can appear harmless because each payment is small. The danger comes from stacking several plans against the same future paycheck. Include every installment in the debt inventory. A payment scheduled for next month is already a claim against next month's income. Debt owed to relatives and friends may carry little interest but enormous relationship risk. Put repayment terms in writing, communicate honestly, and include those payments in the budget. Do not promise an amount that cannot be maintained simply to avoid an uncomfortable conversation. Cosign debt is legally dangerous because each signer may be responsible for the entire obligation. A divorce agreement assigning a joint debt to one former spouse may not eliminate the creditor's contractual rights against the other borrower. Monitor joint accounts until they are refinanced, closed, or paid. There comes a point when conventional repayment stops being the best answer. The warning signs are clear. Required payments exceed sustainable cash flow even after reasonable cuts. Balances continue growing despite regular payments. The estimated payoff takes decades while interest consumes most payments. Essential assets are facing foreclosure or repossession. Multiple creditors have filed lawsuits. Wages are being garnished. The borrower is using one debt to pay another. Retirement money is being drained to preserve unsecured accounts. At that point, bankruptcy should be evaluated as a legal financial tool rather than dismissed as a personal failure. Chapter 7 is generally a liquidation process that can discharge many unsecured obligations, subject to income testing, exemptions, assets, prior filings, and other rules. A typical discharge may occur within several months, but non-exempt assets can be sold by the trustee. Chapter 13 establishes a court-supervised repayment plan, generally lasting 3 to 5 years. It may help someone cure mortgage arrears, retain certain property, reschedule eligible secured debts, and protect qualifying cosigners while the plan is active. Filing bankruptcy usually creates an automatic stay that stops many collection actions, lawsuits, garnishments, and foreclosure efforts. The stay has exceptions and can be modified by the court. Bankruptcy does not erase everything. Domestic support obligations, many student loans, certain taxes, criminal restitution, and debts arising from specified misconduct may survive. Valid liens may also remain even when personal liability is discharged. Chapter 7 eligibility involves a means test using income and expense standards that are updated periodically. Do not rely on a fixed income number from an old video. The United States Trustee Program updates the applicable state median incomes and expense standards. Approved credit counseling is generally required before filing, with limited exceptions. A separate debtor education course is generally required after filing to receive a discharge. A bankruptcy attorney can evaluate exemptions, property, recent transfers, tax consequences, lawsuits, and which chapter may apply. Moving assets, repaying relatives ahead of other creditors, running up cards before filing, or hiding property can create serious legal problems. Obtain advice before making unusual transactions. The correct comparison is not simply bankruptcy versus paying every dollar. Compare both paths. Calculate the realistic amount that can be paid monthly. Estimate the payoff time and total interest. Add the probability of lawsuits, garnishment, repossession, and lost housing. Add settlement fees and possible taxes. Add the effect on retirement savings and the emergency reserve. Then compare that cost with the legal expense, credit consequences, property risk, and relief available through bankruptcy. Time has financial value. Spending 15 years paying 30% interest can delay retirement savings, homeownership, education, and business formation. A legal discharge may sometimes create a stronger long-term recovery than an impossible repayment plan. For people who can repay, increasing income is often more powerful than cutting small expenses forever. Cutting a $10 subscription saves $120 per year. Producing an additional $500 of net income each month creates $6,000 per year. The word net matters. Side work revenue must be reduced by fuel, supplies, platform fees, childcare, insurance, and taxes. A gig that earns $500 but costs $200 to operate creates only $300 for the plan. Use reliable additional income, not hoped-for income, when setting required payments. Overtime, freelancing, temporary work, selling and used property, negotiating a raise, or moving to better-paid employment can accelerate payoff. Gambling, speculative trading, and borrowing to invest are not dependable debt strategies. When a raise arrives, direct the increase to debt before lifestyle expenses expand. When a tax refund, bonus, inheritance, or sale proceeds arrive, decide the allocation before the money reaches the checking account. Do not sell tools, transportation, or equipment that produces more income than it costs. Sell assets that are idle, expensive, or unnecessary. Expense reduction should begin with recurring costs because one decision can create savings every month. Housing, transportation, insurance, telecommunications, subscriptions, and food systems usually matter more than isolated purchases. Negotiate insurance and service plans. Eliminate duplicate subscriptions. Plan food before shopping. Reduce expensive convenience spending. Evaluate whether an unaffordable vehicle can be sold, but avoid cutting medicine, adequate insurance, or the transportation required to maintain income. The budget must be realistic enough to survive. A plan that allows no food variation, no household repairs, no family responsibilities, and no personal spending will often fail. Controlled spending is not the enemy. Unplanned spending financed at high interest is the enemy. Use a weekly money review. Record current balances. Confirm every required payment. Review spending against the plan. Send available attack money. Check upcoming irregular expenses. Document creditor conversations. Update the projected debt-free date. Weekly review detects trouble before the due date. Monthly review alone can allow several weeks of overspending to hide. Measure progress by principal reduction, not merely payments made. Principal reduction for the month equals the starting debt balance minus the ending balance, adjusted for any new charges or corrections. If $1,000 was paid but the balance declined by only $200, $800 went to interest, fees, or new spending. The goal is not to celebrate payment activity while principal remains trapped. The debt-to-income ratio provides another measurement. Monthly debt to income equals required monthly debt payments divided by gross monthly income, multiplied by 100. A household with $2,000 in required debt payments and $6,000 in gross monthly income has a debt-to-income ratio of approximately 33 1/3%. Lenders use different definitions and underwriting thresholds, so this ratio does not guarantee approval or denial. Its purpose here is to show how much gross income is already committed before taxes and living expenses. Credit recovery occurs alongside debt reduction, but no company can guarantee an exact score increase. Pay every current account on time. Bring delinquent accounts into an affordable arrangement when possible. Reduce revolving balances. Correct inaccurate reporting. Avoid unnecessary new applications. Keep records of settlements and paid accounts. Do not pay a credit repair company to dispute information known to be accurate. Accurate negative information generally cannot be legally erased merely because someone sends repeated template letters. Do not focus so heavily on the credit score that more money is borrowed to manipulate it. The purpose of credit is to support financial life. Financial life should not be sacrificed to support a score. Consider four examples. The second household owes $12,000 at 24%, but can pay only $300 monthly. The balance can eventually be paid, but the estimated timeline is approximately 82 months, and the projected interest is more than $12,000. That household should attempt to increase the payment, obtain a hardship rate, transfer the balance under favorable terms, or evaluate a nonprofit debt management plan. Merely continuing the current payment is extremely expensive. The third household owes $30,000 across several cards, has stable income, remains current, and can add $900 monthly beyond minimums. The avalanche method, combined with rate negotiations and no new borrowing, may provide a strong path without settlement or bankruptcy. The fourth household owes $80,000 in unsecured debt, cannot cover minimums after essential expenses, has received 2 lawsuits, and has no realistic route to a positive attack amount. Telling that household to cancel streaming services is not an adequate solution. It needs immediate legal advice, hardship review, and a serious bankruptcy comparison. The amount alone does not select the solution. Cash flow, interest, collateral, legal status, income stability, assets, and eligibility for relief select the solution. The complete debt elimination sequence can now be stated. Protect food, medicine, housing, utilities, insurance, and the income-producing foundation. Stop new high-cost borrowing. Pull all 3 credit reports and create the complete debt inventory. Correct errors and validate unfamiliar collection accounts. Calculate reliable monthly income. Calculate realistic essential expenses. Divide irregular annual expenses by 12. Calculate all minimum payments. Build the starter reserve needed to prevent immediate reborrowing. Subtract those amounts from income to determine the attack amount. If the attack amount is positive, select avalanche, snowball, or a justified hybrid and automate the system. If the attack amount is 0, reduce costs, increase income, and negotiate lower rates or payments. If the attack amount is negative, contact creditors immediately and investigate hardship programs, nonprofit counseling, asset changes, settlement, and bankruptcy. Before refinancing, compare total remaining costs instead of monthly payments. Before transferring a balance, include the transfer fee and divide the new balance by the promotional months. Before settling, validate the debt, review the statute of limitations, obtain written terms, and prepare for possible taxes. Before paying an old collection, determine whether payment could restart the lawsuit period. Before aggressively paying federal student loans, check current repayment and forgiveness eligibility. Before missing a mortgage or auto payment, contact the servicer and request assistance. Before filing bankruptcy, obtain approved counseling and qualified legal advice. After each payoff, roll the entire former payment into the next debt. Do not allow the freed payment to disappear into lifestyle spending. When the final high-interest debt is eliminated, redirect the former debt payments into emergency savings, plan future expenses, retirement, insurance needs, and long-term goals. Debt freedom lasts only when the financial system that replaced the debt remains active. The final formula is not based on motivation alone. Debt freedom equals accurate information, plus protected essentials, plus positive monthly cash flow, plus reduced borrowing cost, plus consistent principal payments, plus the correct legal remedy when repayment is impossible. No company can guarantee instant forgiveness. No secret loophole makes every valid debt disappear. No budgeting method can overcome a permanently negative cash flow without changing income, expenses, payment terms, assets, or legal obligations. But every debt problem has a next rational action. For a small balance, that action may be one automatic payment. For a high-interest balance, it may be an avalanche. For unaffordable current accounts, it may be a hardship plan. For collections, it may be validation and negotiation. For medical debt, it may be insurance correction or financial assistance. For federal student loans, it may be the correct 2026 repayment plan or forgiveness path. For tax debt, it may be an installment agreement, offer in compromise, or currently not collectible status. For a threatened home, it may be immediate loss mitigation with a HUD-approved counselor. For mathematically impossible unsecured debt, it may be bankruptcy. The path begins by replacing fear with verified numbers, then replacing scattered payments with one system, then replacing expensive interest with principal reduction, and finally, replacing a life controlled by yesterday's borrowing with one directed by tomorrow's choices. Debt freedom is not one dramatic payment. It is the moment every future dollar stops belonging to the past. If you enjoyed this content, please share and subscribe.